King's plans to convert Buckingham Palace into a museum have divided Britons. The idea of Buckingham Palace turning into a gallery and President's Guest House has been proposed. According to royal sources, King Charles II might turn Buckingham Palace into a museum, art gallery, or VIP guest house that also serves as the firm's headquarters, opening it up to the public. Even after Buckingham Palace's £369 million taxpayer-funded renovation is finished in 2027, the king still prefers to live at Clarence House as his London residence. This indicates that in addition to hosting the king and queen's private office, communications staff, and special rooms for foreign heads of state, the building might transform into a more commercial domain. However, a recent Express.co.uk poll revealed that readers are split on the palace's intended usage in the future. The king enjoys being at Clarence House, is quite frugal, and would not want to hire an interior designer to redecorate Buckingham Palace for him, according to a source with extensive knowledge of the monarch who spoke to the Times. Since state visitors to Britain anticipate staying at Buckingham Palace, it's possible that it will someday double as a gallery and presidential residence. There's so much space there that you might arrange things so that no one would notice one another. Express.co.uk responded by conducting a reader survey from 9 a.m. on Tuesday, May 16, to 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 18, asking readers if they thought Buckingham Palace should become a museum. Overall, readers were divided on the subject, with 50%, 1,050 people, responding yes to the question of whether it should be made public, and 43%, 975 people, disagreeing. Another 3% of respondents, 71 persons, indicated they were unsure. The future of Buckingham Palace was the subject of a spirited discussion among readers in the comments section placed below the related article. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, some of the 775 rooms in Garden of the Palace were accessible to the general public for 10 weeks in the summer to fall when Her Majesty was in residence at Balmoral. Some readers believed that the palace should be made more accessible to the general population. User Rando94 commented, "Part of it already is a museum, and I guess if the future monarchs don't want to live there, then I see no problem with it becoming a full-time museum other than when there are state occasions." In agreement that it might be a good opportunity for tourism, username Paphian wrote, "Given the number of tourists visiting the capital to immerse themselves briefly in British historical culture, the palace should be open to the public when not in use for state occasions, and there should be a charge for entry." Some readers disagreed, believing it should continue to be a private royal estate. Username It Doesn't Speak Highly of Our Standing, the Seaman observed, "When international dignitaries are invited to a meal in a museum, it must continue to be a palace. No, it should not become a museum. It should remain as it is, a royal household," wrote user Lord Robert. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update. King Charles was just as reluctant to move to Buckingham as Queen Elizabeth II. Many royal properties, including the infamous Buckingham Palace and King Charles's private mansion, Clarence House, are located in London. Although the latter has been the official residence of the UK's monarchs since 1837, the king is reluctant to move there, according to a royal historian. Since 2003, not long after the Queen Mother, the previous tenant, passed away, King Charles and Queen Camilla have called Clarence House home. The king and queen consort have reportedly not yet moved out of their current residence, despite it being customary for the monarch to dwell at Buckingham Palace, which is known as the royal residence. Even though it has been predicted that they will relocate to the central London home later this year, royal historian and pundit Mark O'Keefe at Gay Aristo claimed there may be a long delay before that happens. Charles might be reluctant to settle into the renowned home, even when the astonishing £369 million in renovations are finished. Mock suggested that this may be due to the king's close personal relationship with Clarence House, which is firmly established in his family's history, in an exclusive interview with Express.co.uk. The royal expert stated, "Should the king decide to walk to work, Clarence House is located just off the Mall, a short stroll from Buckingham Palace. William I erected it, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, the king's adored grandmother, lived there before the king moved in. She used to appear in front of the public on her birthday at the Clarence House gates in her later years." The king has talked affectionately of spending time with his grandmother and recalled how his childhood home, Clarence House, was always a happy place full of love and joy. Highgrove in Gloucestershire is regarded as the king's private residence, and despite the fact that this is an official property, the king has decorated it with items from his family and his personal interests. Charles ultimately decides to leave the famous White Mansion in St. James's, although the significance of his location has become even more important since the coronation. Charles' formal business will now be conducted at Buckingham Palace, according to Mock. The king does not appear to be in any hurry to move there, despite the fact that most kings reside above the shop at the palace. The Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, had recently oversaw a significant restoration of Clarence House, so the Queen experienced some of this same hesitancy when she took the throne. "I believe that King Charles III will continue to make Clarence House their London residence, even though he may carry out the majority of his official duties at Buckingham Palace." The royal insider indicated that Prince William may be considered as a future resident, even though the king and queen don't appear to be in any hurry to make the Pall Mall location their primary residence. In contrast to their current residence on the grounds of Windsor Castle, Mock remarked that with such a young family, the central London site would incur significant travel for Catherine, who frequently does the school run. Charles is anticipated to stay at his highly personalized house for the time being, which is filled to the brim with loving memorials to his immediate family. Mock recognized the heartfelt details when he visited Clarence House on his own. He declared, "The king has planted a garden in honor of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, right outside the portico entry. It has always struck me as a home as much as a place of business whenever I have been to Clarence House. The sitting area is crammed with family photos," the royal historian continued. Along with images of the late Queen's coronation, the display includes pictures of the Duke of Sussex's wedding and private moments with his grandkids. Many of us enjoy curling up in a plush chair with a good book, and the king has a collection of gardening and art books in his sitting area, which shows his passion for natural practices and Islamic art. His office has a view of the garden, demonstrating his love of the outdoors. Along with the typical portraits of horses and nobles that one might find in a royal house, the king also has sculptures and works of art by his favorite painters at Clarence House, which reflect his varied tastes and interest in the Middle East. We must keep in mind that Clarence House is a working environment, and as such, it serves an official purpose in projecting the image of the monarch and brand Britain. The opulent red-carpeted hallways, formal furnishings, and royal artifacts, including precious porcelain and portraits of former kings and queens, reflect this. A mention to Charles's work is also present, including images of a meeting with President Obama and travels in support of the Prince's Trust. Hello everyone, and welcome to my Royal Family Politics channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Harry and Meghan are frustrated by King Charles' lack of communication with the Sussexes after the automobile chase. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex claim that since being chased by paparazzi in New York, they have not spoken to any senior royals. Following their near-catastrophic car chase in New York earlier this week, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are reportedly frustrated by the lack of acknowledgement or communication from Buckingham Palace. The Sussexes are not reported to have spoken to senior royals like King Charles and Prince William since the incident, which Harry had hoped would win him some sympathy from his estranged relatives. The Telegraph reports that this is the case. As they departed New York's Ziegfeld Ballroom, Harry and Meghan were engaged in a relentless pursuit, lasting over 2 hours. Doria Ragland, Meghan's mother, had joined them on Tuesday night when they attended an awards event. The two described it as a serious chase that led to multiple near collisions involving other drivers on the road, pedestrians, and 2 NYPD officers in a statement. After leaving the venue about 10:30 p.m. and making many stops at police stations for safety, they finally returned to a friend's home around 1:30 a.m. However, according to officials with the New York Police Department, their interactions with the pair ended after roughly 20 minutes. The driver of a paparazzi who was allegedly involved in the incident accused Harry and Meghan's driver of posing a threat and said that the situation had been very tense all evening. They did a lot of blocking, and there were a lot of different types of maneuvers to stop what was happening, they said to Good Morning Britain. Their driver was making the situation disastrous. I would have likely been following them at a speed of 20 miles per hour if they had been traveling at 80 miles per hour in an effort to keep them in view. Therefore, if it was hazardous and catastrophic, it was probably due to the person who was driving, said the driver. Ken Worf, who spent 6 years working as Princess Diana's protection officer, acknowledged having some sympathy for the couple's security staff, but felt they should have organized Harry and Meghan's exit from the event better. The whole point is that you need to have advice on this, and while I don't know how much the New York Police Department was engaged, it basically needs to be stage managed correctly, he said. I'll use my personal experience to illustrate my point here. At best, the paparazzi can be interacted with. At worst, they are an inconvenience. However, they do not intend to kill any one person. Therefore, I believe we need to exercise some caution there. Celebrity news outlet Backgrid USA reported that it was looking into claims that the family's safety was in danger after obtaining pictures and footage of the incident from independent photographers. A statement from them read, "They, the photographers, had no intention of causing any distress or harm, as their only tool was their cameras." The family was picked up by New York cab driver Sunny Singh, who noted that Harry and Meghan appeared nervous and scared, despite the fact that he did not feel intimidated by the cars. While maintaining that it was not a high-speed pursuit, Tom Buddha, president of Buddha Security Incorporated, the business in charge of the Sussexes' transportation, argued that the photographers were being reckless. A spokesperson for the Sussexes and Buckingham Palace has been contacted for comment.